Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Dirtwater Sass. And today we're going to be talking about chivalry. You don't hear about that word a lot, but it recently has really come up for me because we are seeing in the world today, especially on social media, which honestly, people choose to be their worst selves with social media. And we are definitely seeing that play out today. I have experienced, witnessed, seen on social media various high profile men attack women in very grotesque, offensive, aggressive ways. And it just made me think about the older days. And I think as much as you hear me and my sister talk about our father in a very negative light due to his addiction, it's been on my heart to really talk about his chivalrous behavior at times. And some of that behavior are things like I never once saw him treat another woman horrible, or most people, for me, my memory is most people knew my dad is very respectful. He
Mm-hmm.
always addressed people, Mr., Mrs., no matter the age. He
Yeah.
always held the door open for us and our mother. He always would sit on the outside of whether it was church or whatever it was. Like I have vivid memories of kind of that protective kind of man position. We were always growing up, we were always walking on the inside of something. And I remember, again, I just I just feel that our father did really good at teaching us how to be treated. And for me, I held on to that standard. Like I remember going on a date one time and
Mm.
the guy do you remember this story? And
I think I know which one you're talking about.
he took me to the movies and I just sat in my car and I was like, what is happening? Because I was waiting for him to come and open my door for me because I know I was taught that. Like I was taught to be treated that way. So I'm thinking this had to be like a first date, maybe when I was allowed to date or something. But I just remember that. And so the guy finally was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I was just waiting for you to open my door." So we get out. This is the same day. We go to the movie theater and he opens the movie door and walks in before me.
Okay.
And I said, "You know what? Take me home. This isn't going well. Take me home." And he did. We got back in the car and I made him take me home. I I can't even remember the guy's name, honestly. He had
I think
blonde
I do.
hair. You do remember his name?
Think I do. I think.
And I was just like, and we didn't talk the whole way home. And I get home, and I don't have a memory after that, but I didn't go back on a date with this guy. And again, that is from my dad. Like he just instilled in me on how to be treated as a woman, and I feel like we've lost that these days. I know I'm a mother of boys, and I know that I haven't taught my boys those kind of chivalrous things, but we are definitely seeing those respectful, manly, chivalrous behaviors being lost. And I
Yeah.
think that's why we have such a unchivalrous space for men on social media. And quite honestly, I look at those men and I immediately view them as cowards. When
Yeah.
I see another man treating a woman like that on social media, all I could see is, would he act like that in her face? Like if they were face to face, would he treat her the same way? I want to think not, but maybe so. But that makes him a coward, right?
Yeah.
That makes him a coward. And so I know when I brought this up to you that I wanted to talk about this, you were kind of just kind of like, okay, whatever. But do you agree that we've kind of lost that behavior, number one, from
Oh,
men in
absolute.
society today? And we're not teaching our young men chivalrous behaviors like that are very important, which is probably why they're not leading their homes, which is probably why men aren't leading their homes because they're not leading with chivalrous behavior,
Right.
right? And
Yep.
thirdly, don't you think that our father like taught us
Yeah.
well to be treated that way? Do you feel that way?
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely think Dad was that guy, you know. He was that guy, and it was yes, ma'am, no, sir, yes, sir. I mean, we used to get in trouble. Trouble, okay? Like, it was a whooping if
It
we
would be
did
a
not.
whooping for
It
sure.
would be a whooping that we didn't, address with respect. And that's a lot of what it's respect.
It's respect.
It's
Yes, it
it's
is respect.
respect. It's value. It's value. And I know that somewhere in the back of their mind, um, they know that I should be doing that. And some of it could be laziness, some of it could just be disrespect completely, or pride.
Mm,
Because you know what I'm
yes,
saying.
we are
Uh,
very prideful society for sure.
prideful, yeah. Like, why do I have to do that? Why should I? Why? How is she any better than me? It's very selfish.
Yes.
And I think a lot of it is because it's not talked about anymore. It's not enforced. Um, and that's on a father or man. That's their part, you know. Um,
So I did post this on one of my social media platforms about chivalry,
hmm
and the responses were quite interesting. And the number one response that I got had to do with
Gosh,
feminism. It had to do with feminism and how when feminism was on the rise, telling men that we don't want you to treat us that way. I mean, but that
right?
when it was
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
rise,
That's the response you get.
I'm pretty sure that when it was on the rise like that and the more women that accept it, they didn't want to be treated with chivalrous behavior because they saw it as the man displaying actions that made him better than.
The
And
masculinity, the
yeah, like and I was like, "Oh, that is really interesting," and I could actually see that, right? Like,
right control,
which
or
in turn, now what has it led to? When a
right.
man when a man doesn't take on that behavior, he automatically and it over time instills in men not to respect women at all, which
Yeah,
is actually leads to a very hostile, toxic masculinity that the feminists thought they were fighting against anyway.
I totally. Yeah, I agree. Totally. They should be. We do a lot. We do a lot in a marriage. I know I was talking to you about this, not too long ago, but we are expected. And I don't know if that just comes from years of expectation of a woman, or if it just comes natural to us to take care. And it, stems back from, and the days have changed, and I get that, but it still doesn't excuse showing respect for the person that washes your clothes, washes, cooks, cleans, will love you unconditionally. And I guess it could go either way, but there is not any of that going on anymore. Like you said, um, all kind of different things that just don't happen anymore. And it could be pushed by agenda too, just the whole disrespect on that end. But yeah, dad was very good about that. Don't talk to your mom that way. Don't, and I guess that's one for me. There's a lot of that lost, correcting your children on how you
And
speak to your mother or how you
yes.
don't.
Or I remember this is one that always comes up in my family, and I like to bring it up actually, is that dad would never allow us to negatively talk about mom's food. You
Yeah.
would have never ever heard us say, "Oh, I'm not eating that."
Yeah. It
Never.
was the
You would have
gratitude.
never yeah. You would have never heard that. We would have been grounded immediately. Like, you did not
Yeah,
disrespect the fact that she worked really hard with this, and you're not gonna sit at this table and disrespect her food.
absolutely.
Eat it,
Absolutely.
put it in your mouth, and be done with it, and you say thank you.
And eat it all.
Yeah. Yes.
You're
Yes.
not excused from the table. It was appreciation. Like I said, being grateful. And uh, yeah, there's not a lot of that. Trust me, I know.
Yeah, for sure. And again, this is a battle in my household too. This was this I mean, I talk about these things because sadly, I haven't enforced them either. And knowing how important they are,
I know.
I remember when we did used to teach our kids like yes ma'am and no no sir, no ma'am, all those kind of things. And I remember them getting in school and getting in trouble for saying that.
Yeah,
Like they would get in trouble because a teacher would be offended because they felt old. And so there was always this pushback, even with my children. And then we didn't, not that we don't make them correct themselves, but it's not as pushed like when we were growing up. Like we would get spankings. Like
yeah,
we would get spankings if we disrespected in that way.
yeah.
Um for sure. The other thing that I think of that dad did so well that I actually still I do actually do this is, you're not taking my child on a date without me meeting you first. Like,
Absolutely.
you don't make it to my door. Like, I even have this standard for friends. Like, if the parent isn't going to reach out to me or come to my door, they don't care about their own kid. They don't know who I am. So they're
Exactly.
definitely not gonna care about my kid.
Exactly. And
So
and
and my
yeah,
kids know that. Like, they know that for sure. Like, um
I don't think there was ever a time when I dated anyone as far as I was under their roof. They had to meet the guy that I was talking to.
yeah.
Her dad was really more on it. Um, Mom will just hang out with you. But dad was
Right. Yeah.
he was very hard on that, and it didn't matter. Um, and he was that's why I started laughing because he was always so hardcore with them, like they were kind of
Mhm.
scared. Like, what did I sign up for here?
Yes. And look at that now, and we haven't experienced this yet, but I hope my husband presents himself that way,
Yes, look.
right?
Oh, and when he shook their hand, it was like, oh my God, they're gonna break my hand. It was the most firm handshake you could ever get, and you could just see the fear in their face.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, yeah, I definitely don't see even my husband being like that. I
Yeah.
don't.
No,
Like,
I don't mind if my husband is. Like,
oh, I
he's
don't mind. He just isn't.
yeah, but you don't have girls,
Yeah,
like,
well, there's a difference there too.
like
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
I guess I'm kind of the same way. Like, my son's girlfriend, I was a little bit of,
Yeah. I have been
um,
too. Yeah.
mhm, mhm.
Like, I just want you to know, honey, I can love you well or I can hate you
Er,
well. Like
It's like
there's
we can go
no
either way.
you know.
Look, I'm gonna tell you, the love you well is much more pleasant
Yes.
because I can be her. I was
Yes.
born with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think if mom had boys, she would have been like that too.
Sure. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because you know
Yeah.
what goes through a girl's mind, and
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. Because a girl can mess up a guy's life too. Just like a guy.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just I expect,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like it in something that I tell my children, and I've kind of actually really stressed it more recently in more recent years than I have, but the people that you bring into our family's life as far as you date, if they don't sit
Right.
well at my kitchen table, it's not going to go well in the future.
Right.
And,
Exactly.
and I kind of had that mentality even in the midst of our parents being drug addicts. In the back of my head, I knew that whoever I was going to marry or date had to get along with my family. Like
Absolutely.
it was always still in the back of my head. Like I knew that if you didn't like music, you weren't going to have a positive relationship with my dad.
Absolutely.
Right? I knew that. Like I knew in my head, even in the drug addiction, that if you did not fit at our kitchen table, it was we hell to pay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I know exactly what you're saying. Our dad was a big music person. He wanted, I think he was just trying to have common ground, something he could relate to. Or if they
So
came
you're a
off a
music
little,
person. You're a music person though.
oh, big time, big
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
big time. I can't live without it. Love it. Uh, that was one thing that my ex, any song that ever came up, especially if it was like the 70s or, back in dad's time, I knew who it was every time. Boom, boom, boom. New lyrics, everything. And he always thought that was he was like, that is so cool that you know who that is. Um, I said, I just grew up with it. In times of, it always helps me whenever I'm feeling a certain way, a certain song will bring me back. But
Yeah. Oh, I definitely get
that,
that too.
yeah, it certain things for certain situations. But Dad always made sure that we appreciated that end. And me, Meemaw, her working in a CD manufacturing company, you know, that
Yeah.
was really cool. But yeah, on the chivalry part, um, yeah, I don't get that much of it. I'm not
No, and
disgracing
again,
my husband. I'm not. But you know what I've been through, you
yeah.
know.
And
It's
again, I think you got the worst of our parents, right? Like you did. Where I got the best of them, and that was definitely something that was the best of them, whereas you got the worst. And so
right.
I'm sure there's a lot of people are wondering how can you talk about his chivalry when in their eyes what he did to his family isn't chivalrous at all.
See that, yeah.
But that's what addiction does. Like it steals the best of you,
Yeah, it
and
does. It
and you
robs
can
you.
think, yeah, you can think you're a functioning addict, but it eventually isn't functioning anymore.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You don't even
And
know
you
who you
definitely,
are. You
yeah,
don't
you
even
definitely got you definitely got the worst of him. But I can't talk about this because it was such a huge part of my life. Like it really was. I mean, the funny thing is that, and this isn't a negative on my husband at all, but he wasn't raised in the South.
right.
He wasn't raised in the South,
And that's
and
different. Yeah.
they just it was just different. And nor was he actually raised with a father that could teach him those kind of things, and nor was he around women that taught him those things as well.
'Cause
So,
yeah,
which was easy for me to kind of, look over. I mean, he realizes how important it is, but it also has affected our home, and that just wasn't important like it was to our father.
right, right.
However, my husband's amazing, so that
Yeah, he is awesome.
yeah, yeah, that is not that. But I
Dad made
just
it scary.
yeah, but again, I go back to my husband also wouldn't ever attack a woman like we are seeing today. I mean, when I say attack, it's words that I can't even say, or like our channel will be like banned. Like that's what men are doing to women that they don't agree with or that they don't like or whatever. And even in my dad's addiction, he wouldn't have done something like
Never.
that.
Oh, no, never,
Even in his worst state, he would have never
never.
online, in person, whatever, would have talked to women the way that women are being talked to. And the other part of this is that there are men out there actually still supporting men who do this. What does that say about you? Right? Like what does that say about you when you choose to overlook men who talk and treat women like this? Like you're a coward too, right? Like
Oh, abs
my
okay, yeah.
my dad, I know, would have stood up for a woman being abused like that in a heartbeat.
Absolutely, just like going back, uh, the situation where the guy was stalking mom,
Yes. Yes, that's a perfect example. You want to talk about that?
we can talk about that because, we brought it up in the last podcast that we did. He was not going. There was a guy stalking my mom, and every time she went to the grocery store, she went out, the same guy kept popping up, and he was following her. And I think it was at the grocery store is where it got kind of creepy for her. And we actually had a sign on the outside of the house with our last name on it. It was, you remember that wood one that had our
Oh,
last
that's
name?
right. Yes, yes.
They took it down because this guy found out where mom lived, and he was following her around. And I'll never forget it. I can still see it. Next thing I know, we're just inside, and it was a screen door, and the regular door was open, and that guy came walking down the street, and mom told dad, that guy's outside. He's walking past our house. Our dad didn't even think twice. Um, it wasn't pretty, I'll tell you that. He went out and he put that guy's head on the concrete several times. It got scary because I didn't want nothing to happen to our dad. But that's how much he loved his wife. And I'm not saying, physical violence, that's not what I'm promoting. I'm just saying he took care of the situation. And you never saw that guy again, you know? Um, that was scary. It was really scary, but didn't ever see him again.
That's interesting that you talk about that situation like that because I don't think that's how it actually went.
Really?
No, no. The situation was, and again, I just want to preface this timeline
I
scenario.
was little.
You were like you had
4.
to be 3 or 4,
I was
so
maybe 4.
you were very little because we ended up leaving Nashville when I was 8. So I'm 4 years older than you.
Yeah.
So
I
but
remember it like yesterday, or
no, this I know, but listen. So that particular situation, mom used to lay out in her
Oh,
bikini in the front yard,
I
and we
remember.
would play in the little plastic pool and jump off the front steps into our little plastic pool beside her.
And you had your little best friend that lived next door, the blonde.
Yeah. And we were just kind of playing outside. And again, at this time, our mom was beautiful. Like,
Beautiful.
I cannot stress how beautiful she was. Like, I have memories of not just this one guy making a pass at her, but I have memories of people telling her how beautiful she was all the time. Like, I have tons of those memories. And this one particular guy, he wasn't the stalker, but I can see how you can get them too confused because these instances were back to back actually. But this one particular guy was just walking down the street and whistled at her.
Was that it? Maybe I
Yes,
was.
and our dad was mowing the grass.
Well, I knew they were outside.
Yes, our dad was mowing the grass, and the dude literally whistled at my mother, and my dad took off, and there was no stopping him. And and we actually ran into that guy later on, and his face was completely disfigured.
Yeah, oh, yeah. He
You
just.
did not you did not mess with my dad's family. He did
Yeah,
not care.
yeah.
Everybody knew that. There was no question in that. Like, he was the nicest guy, but
Nice.
you
So nice.
everybody loved him. Like, everybody loved him, but you mess with his family and the beast is coming out. And you say you don't promote violence, but in that situation, yes.
Well,
Absolutely.
well,
He was
that's
scum of the earth.
different.
He was scum of the earth and he deserved everything he got from my father, and every man.
He got it.
Oh, he got it. Yes. And every man should do that. I know my husband, that would have been the outcome of that. Like, it, yes. And nobody should be punished for that. No man should be punished for defending his family like that.
No,
But the second
but you would
instance
now.
yeah, the second instance you're talking about, it was right after that. Like, it was literally right after that. Um, Same house, same kind of neighborhood. Now I'm thinking, what kind of neighborhood do we live in? I don't know. Um,
Well, I mean,
I don't I
they
don't
were just
know.
starting out in life. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't
It
like
was a rental. We were living in a rental. We didn't own
yeah.
anything. Yeah.
And, you know, it
Yeah.
they were doing the best they could, and dad was kind of coming up, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. He was
Yeah.
working as a salesman for another company. Like, he
And
was he was moving up in that company. Yeah.
and he really did try really hard.
He did. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
tried really hard, and when we talk about that, I guess that's the point of, addiction does get a stranglehold on you eventually. But he could literally sell you a bag of crap
To this day, he can do
for
that.
a
To this
thousand
day.
dollars. Okay, he could make it sound like potpourri. Okay,
Yes. Yes.
yes, he
Yes.
could sell anything, and he always took care of us. We never did without. Even in the midst of me going through the bad time of my life, um, he never let me go without, nor my kids. Um, that's just who he is. That's just who he is. So I try to be careful about because he's always going to, like you said, take care. I know
He
that
does the
those
best
are
he can. Yeah, and
he
that's
did
gonna
the
look
best
good.
he
That's
can.
gonna look yeah.
And the days are a little bit different now because I think there's a lot happened in between the last 10 years, Um, even though he doesn't say it, he misses mom. But once again, there were so many things that happened in between, but he always picks up the phone, you know. We may be mad at him or for any other reason, and this is kind of just all for a second, but he'll always answer the phone and make sure we're okay, you know. Even though we're older, we've been through some things. He's always tried to respect as much as he can in the situations that he's been in. But he was always very, he treated my mom like a queen
For most of my life, he
for
did.
most of it. Yeah, for most
Yeah.
of it.
For most of the time he did. And for most of my life, which probably has a lot to do with why I'm independent and I don't really have any insecurities. I don't those aren't my struggles, like those aren't the things that are my struggles. I don't know why, but I was pretty secure as a kid because I had a father that I knew that if you mess with me, he's coming after you. Like
Yeah,
I just knew that. So I kind of had that security where I didn't have to really depend on anyone. And I think that's really crucial. And the reason I bring this up is because I just want to remind people, and hopefully this is your situation, but just because someone is struggling with an addiction doesn't make them a horrible person. Like everybody, I believe, has good and bad, right? Like everybody, whatever their situation they're in, there's good in people. And again, addiction comes to steal, kill, and destroy, and it can ruin your life. But don't forget that people do have goodness in them. It's just been covered up. And as you think about your journey, as we talk through this, I think it's important for me to remind myself that I didn't have it. I didn't have any expectations on my parents for a long time, which actually helped me heal in that all of that and actually get through it and actually stay a part of their life. They didn't have any expectations on their life. Most drug addicts don't have any expectations. The only expectation they have is to get their next hit. And when you can take yourself out of the situation as a personal situation, in that they realize that they're not thinking about you, like they're not, all they can think about is their next hit, and that's the addiction talking, then you kind of can remind yourself it's okay, right? Like this isn't personal. This isn't, I don't know. I just, for whatever reason, there's multiple things I want to get out of this particular podcast, and I'm going to wrap it up. Is
okay.
that number one, our culture, the way men are treating women is absolutely disgusting and they need to be held accountable. Number two, feminism has done more damage to our culture than I would say anything in our history besides killing babies, which
Oh,
stems
yeah,
from
don't. Yeah,
feminism.
yeah,
Number three, if you're a man and you're listening to this, be a man of reputation and integrity and honor chivalry.
honor.
Be the man that will stand up to another man who wants to batter and abuse women.
That's
Be
it.
the man be the man who stands up to those men who think they're being manly online, in public, or wherever it is. Be the man that stands up for women. You are honorable. There is nothing of honor for those who sit back and watch a man abuse a woman online or in person. You are not honorable, man. You're a coward. And then I just want to end by encouraging those who are in this situation. Again, I'm always going to go back to, if you're in a situation, whether you're dealing with addicts or you are an addict, live your best life. Be your best self. Always. Always choose that. Always choose to live your best life and be your best self, because at the end of the day, it's not it's not helping you in any way to, if you're choosing things that steal that from you.
Yeah.
So I
You
just
know,
want to
that's,
encourage.
yeah, that's a sensitive subject for me. You know that.
Yeah, yeah. But
Um,
again, we'll discuss it on another podcast, what we're going on. But we want to wrap this one up, and hopefully today, hopefully you will subscribe and like. That's how we grow. That's the more that we can get subscribers, the more we grow and the more we can help people in these situations, because we know that there are people in these situations and we want to be an encouragement. Even though our journeys are different, even though we lived in the same household with the same parents and we chose different journeys, we are together now and we're wanting to encourage because we have been with each other through all of this.
It's possible. It's very possible.
Yep.
Just hang in there.
Yep, yep. And speaking to the one that you're living in this and you're the good one who didn't make those choices, you can still love them in a way that's healing and whole. And I always say you love until wholeness, and that you can do that without enabling. And it's very easy to do. I have a life to prove it, that you can love without enabling and you can love them to wholeness.
And
So I just
can I say this real quick, just real quick before you wrap it up? I'll tell you, out of all the years of my addiction, I knew not to ever ask my sister for $1.
of course you're going to throw that in there. Of
Yeah,
course you are. Of
no,
course
I
you
didn't
are.
even ask. I didn't even ask because I knew. No, I knew it was going to be a hard no. So I knew not to ever ask because she's not going to, but she's always been present. That was my point.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
loved me no matter what. And that's the point she's trying to make. You can still love, you can still be there for them. Just the enabling, don't. Yeah, that's a bad idea. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Until next time, we'll see you back next time. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.